This episode explains national security using the chief U.S. cultural export of Marvel movies. Welcome to Guardians of the Liberal Conspiracy. Is this cultural appropriation? I don't have any Asian Jewish superheroes to cosplay. Yet. Unless you've been trapped in the quantum zone for the last decade, you know nothing's more reliable at the box office than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And nothing was more volatile globally than the actions of our last administration. Some real supervillain stuff back there. Plainly put, the perception of the US outside our borders matters greatly to national security. How America is viewed as friend or foe to our friends and foes is critical to being able to keep us safe and not start World War III. We don't always have to agree with military tactics and the diplomacy of presidential administrations, but we usually hope their choices were pretty FUBAR and took a lot of careful guidance and thought. It's like the last president trapped us in the whims of a Westview-esque world of his creation, an imaginary moment where everything was great in American history.
Yes, and instead of grief, he was just driven by...
maybe grief.
Raw ego.
Seems like a very sad man.
Sad.
Horrible foreign policy lightning round.
Almost inciting a full-out war with Syria.
Kowtowing to Russia.
Babies in cages.
Misplacing the babies.
Retreating from treaties that save economies.
Or the Earth. Or stave off nuclear winter.
Picking fights with Canada.
Also, punching Nazis became a topic for debate again, something we thought Captain America settled in 1941. Today, superheroes continue to hold influence, each blockbuster a prime example of America's soft power. Hard power is our insanely bloated defense budget that somehow can't stop this from happening. Soft power is our shiny, friendly, hot girl summer appeal, something aspirational. The Philharmonic, Big Macs, they all blunt the edge of the US domineering because when we share in our prosperity, less people hate us, less people try to harm us. Then we don't need to keep buying more artillery. We need to bulk order Tickle Me Grogu's and send that around the holidays. Military themes in Marvel promote positive views of US military abroad, allowing easier implementation of security objectives. And as these films mirror themes from our own piece of the multiverse, we sat down with Marine veteran Todd Bowers to tackle the very relevant crossover question, how would the real US war machine tackle superhuman threats? Todd Bowers, 12-year veteran of the US Marine Corps, thank you so much for joining The Conspiracy.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
We have a couple scenarios we could really use your expert advice. How would the national security community go about organizing a cohort of supernatural individuals, including foreign actors, to carry out special ops across the globe?
Well, that's a really good question because I think what we have to focus on is where they would ultimately work from. It could be everything from the Atomic Energy Association to the U.S. Institute of Peace to the Department of Agriculture, depending on how fast they can burrow and dig tunnels. We think about agencies such as the Arms Control Disarmament Agency, which has been around since the 60s. Who better to control folks with this type of power than people that used to handle nukes?
Got it. And drilling specifically into cybersecurity, if an android threatened to lift several acres of Eastern Europe and hurl it toward Earth like a meteor, how would the U.S. engage with such a international threat? Would the military wait for Sokovia's permission?
Space Force. They're finally here. If we've got a chunk of land floating in space right now, before we didn't know what to do with it. Now with Space Force, we know what we can do to engage with them on a scale-by-scale level. First being social media posts. Please set it down nicely. Second being draft a strongly worded letter to the person that may be controlling it. And then last but not least, go to the UN with a list of questions and assistance requests.
Interesting. So it sounds like we would go to the UN with eminent domain issues about the imminent impact of this chunk of dirt.
Potentially, yes.
What's the closest thing to a super soldier program that we currently have or have employed in the past?
I did experience some opportunities where I was engaged with super soldiers. And they are the often overlooked people who keep the military running, in my opinion, which are the people who run the chow halls. They're super soldiers. I mean, stop and think about what they are doing on the front lines. I was legitimately blown away when in my tent I woke up to an omelet every other Thursday that was cooked up by a Lance Corporal there.
There wasn't any, in your 2 tours in Iraq, no volunteering for super serums or at least like SEAL teams getting creatine doses or anything else to enhance their performance?
We took a pill every day there called doxycycline, which was to keep malaria away. We were given mefloquine, went into Kuwait and then up in Iraq, and we received the anthrax vaccination. Not a lot of people knew there was an anthrax vaccination at the time, but we all got it.
I did a little research on mefloquine, and I'm pretty sure it's just ketamine in emergency, so that may have led to those good feels.
They talk about the nightmares and the post-traumatic stress and all those things that come together. But boy, for me to be able to smile that much eating an 8-year-old muffin, on top of a mountain in Afghanistan while someone shot at me, it's worth every nightmare.
You mentioned PTSD, mental health issues on the rise, especially in veterans. How do you think that impacts someone like a winter soldier who has probably, over 200 kills in the last 4 decades?
So I think it's a little different for folks like Winter Soldier and others who have been so engaged for so long, because what they have that I don't think most of us have is a form of respite. You watch any of the World War II documentaries and you're like, that was some stuff. That must have been hard to handle. They got to go out boozing. When you deploy now, you are there for a year, you're not getting a break, and that's it. And I honestly think that has a big impact on the trauma that folks have and the way they process it.
How do you feel America is currently viewed, and what is the role of our great democratic nation on the world stage?
In the Marine Corps, they used to have this expression, when you watch combat movies and everybody's running, the only time you run is if someone's shooting at you. You don't run any other time. So you're carrying 80 pounds worth of stuff. You fall down, you're a turtle. So they used to have an expression where they would say slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So if you just keep moving slowly and with intent, you'll get there faster than if you sprint. And so I think what we have to do in this case is we have to understand the damage that's been done over the last 4 years is going to probably take double that to dig ourselves out of. I also think we have to be extremely open to the way people are perceiving America right now and know which ones we're going to win over and which ones we're not.
Thanks again, Todd, for joining The Conspiracy.
No sweat. Thank you so much for having me.
Many may view our country represented in Captain America, but we've really been acting more like the Incredible Hulk. And we just hulked out, came back as Dr. Banner, and it's like, what? That was us? My bad. So, as we shed our shredded purple shorts and go back to trusting nerdy, small-statured, passive scientists, we'd like the rest of the world to trust us again too. But they wouldn't like to see us when we're angry. If Mr. Sinister, the Blob, and the White Power Queen take the wheel again, allies and rivals need confidence. We will keep our word and not back out of treaties in the blink of an eye, or pretend we're something we're not. Like our Marine friend said, slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. It will take time and tact over a generation to regain trust and the right to lead. Otherwise, we'll have global disarray, and Omega Red is counting on it. That's the show. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and help me get a cameo in the upcoming Shang-Chi movie. Enough said.
Josh, the conspiracy is growing. We need to discuss the Antifa initiative.
Problem is, I'm pro-fa.